So I have about 2 weeks to get this jambalaya mess into a running, driving car, which also means that we're gonna need some go fast bits. So I have some go fast bits, starting with freeing up some exhaust gases. This is a downpipe, and this should help my turbo breathe so much better just by opening this up a lot, because the restricted one, which I will pull out in a minute, is a corn chip compared to this one. Size of a Tostitos compared to this 3-inch downpipe. Now this is gonna free up some power, give me a little bit more turbo noises out the old tailpipe, you know what I'm saying? And this combined with a tune would make this car get some serious horsepower gains. But for starters, it's got to be a running, driving car. So we still got a while here, but like I said, I have 2 weeks to get this into a running, driving car. Can we do it? I don't know. I mean, we got the engine all sorted. This is all put back together now. So this is the new block. Everything's cleaned up. Timing is done. A lot of the front stuff's done. Oil coolant has been hooked up to the turbo, so we're looking good there. We have all the sensors kind of ready to be plugged in up here. So that's good. Oil cooler's on. All the accessories are back on. Even the mounting bracket for the engine mount is on. So we're about ready to do some modifications. So I got this, and then I got the Stage 2 kit for the clutch and flywheel that's also going to go on this engine before we put the transmission back on. And I have fresh fluids for everything. So let's get back to work, shall we? Ah, I see what happened. No. Oh my God, I rolled in the middle of the car. What the fuck is going on here? Because all these bolts are just spinning. That worked eventually. Because I need 5 hands, one to hold the ratchet on the bolt so it doesn't come the fuck off. This is why I have an exhaust guy, because this shit fucking sucks. Oh, come on. Oh my God. Seriously. Of course. Really? No. I have no room anywhere. Now I'm on a mess. And this is the last bolt. This makes no fucking sense. What the fuck is up here that causes this to not let you put a fucking wrench on it? Like, what the fuck is that? Why does that make 0 sense? Why is that like that? Like, I don't understand. So I fought with that a lot because that was not fun. This is the cat pipe, which is like kind of your mid section with 2 catalytic converters. And mine, yeah, they're looking great. One of the bolts right here was inside this little bracket here, so you can't get a wrench on it. We had to bend this out of the way so we can get a wrench on the nut so it would stop spinning to get this last bolt loose. All the other ones came out okay. They were fine. But this pipe sucked. It's time to get the downpipe out of the car because that is the last piece of the puzzle. Now, unfortunately, the size of this pipe and the size of the mid pipe that I have here, they're kind of the same where the catback is. The catback doesn't slide right over this, and this doesn't slide over the catback. I'm gonna have to do something about this. I'm gonna have to take this to Wes and have him weld this up, maybe put a high flow cat right about here, I think. Yeah, here, because here's the O2 sensor. It's got to read after the cat. So we're gonna have him put a high flow cat here. We're gonna have him weld this up to the cat back that I have, which is a CTS turbo cat back. So for now, I'm just gonna do what I can, get the downpipe in there, get this in there. I guess let's fight to get this downpipe out of here because this is tight.
Oh, that wouldn't work, would it?
I didn't think so because of this hanger, because it's so wide, but once I removed that cover, it was good. But yeah, you can see how restrictive these pipes are. Up here, it seems very open, but then once you get to about about the size of a corn chip, ain't good.
There we go.
New hotness. Much more open, single channel instead of dual. Going into these dual twisties, it's just one flowing pipe. Upgrades. There we go. All right. Yeah, my greasy mitts. I'm quite greasy right now. So, time to throw this puppy in.
The same way we took it out.
That's right. Should toss this sucker in there. Then I gotta put the heat shield back and hopefully it still works okay. Kind of broke the F out of it, to be honest with you. Well, it's in there. Seems to me it's gonna sit about here-ish. I say ish because it's probably gonna lean more towards the drive shaft for sure. Once it's all in place. There we go. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. An upgraded downpipe on turbocharged cars is an amazing start to modifying your car. It creates less back pressure and allows your turbo to flow exhaust gases out more efficiently, which in turn lessens the strain on the compressor wheel. It creates more horsepower and more torque for longer periods of time, and as a bonus, you get a much crispier exhaust note. In this exhaust system, there is a front oxygen sensor or pre-catalytic converter sensor that reads the amount of oxygen coming out of the exhaust. It then sends that information back to the ECU to tell it to add or reduce fuel. The post-cat oxygen sensor detects if the catalytic converter is doing its job in reducing the harmful gases. With bigger engines, you'll typically have 2 sets of oxygen sensors on the left and right side of the dual exhaust system, aka bank 1 and 2. I reconnected my mid-pipe with my post-cat O2 sensor and hooked up a clamp to the catback as a temporary solution. That's pretty freaking solid. Now we're on to the Stage 2 clutch and flywheel kit, starting with an upgraded slave cylinder and throwout bearing. When you press the clutch down in your car, you force fluid into this slave cylinder, and that pushes your diaphragm springs in the center portion of the pressure plate, which will then push the metal disc surface from the pressure plate away from your clutch and your flywheel. Your flywheel is bolted to the end of your crankshaft, and your clutch plate is sandwiched in between and is ultimately where power is transferred into your transmission, and from there to your wheels. When you slip the clutch to get rolling, you're matching the engine speed via the flywheel to your wheel speed by re-engaging the pressure plate and pushing that rotational power through your transmission. In true Volkswagen Audi fashion, the slave cylinder is made of plastic, which makes it prone to becoming brittle, so I upgraded to a full metal sax part. When it comes down to power, this Stage 2 kit claims to handle 400 foot-pounds of crank torque, which is plenty for my application. What I'm aiming for is somewhere around 290 foot-pounds. These 1AT engines, from what I've heard, have forged pistons and a forged crankshaft, and the connecting rods are the weak link. But with somewhere around 280 to 290 foot-pounds of torque and a lightweight coupe, I don't think I'll be lacking a thrill factor anytime soon. The flywheel gets installed in a crisscross pattern to ensure the surfaces mate flush with each other. These are also one-time use bolts that have to be replaced every time you remove them. Torquing these bolts down actually stretches the bolt itself, and it will never take the same shape again. Yeah. There's two. Cleaning is a very important step because the flywheel and pressure plate are coated in oil to prevent rust from occurring while being stored. I used brake cleaner and a rag until there was no more oil residue left. I installed the clutch with the clutch tool. Pay attention to the direction because clutches can be installed wrong. They should have markings for the correct sides. In my case, the bulkier side goes to the flywheel. Now on to the pressure plate. That clutch tool is very important for this step because it centers the clutch disc while you install the pressure plate. Holding it perfectly center is important because it will make it almost impossible to install the transmission because the input shaft doesn't have a straight path through to fully seat the transmission to the engine. I added a dab of clutch spline grease, and now we can finally work on reinstalling the transmission. Okay, ready? Knees, baby, knees. Yep. Okay. Oh my god. Ow. This car and I have not been on the best terms since I got it. It has been a rolling snowball of parts lists and endless headaches with little to no reward. Kind of like YouTube. But I have had quite a journey with it, and I've grown quite attached to it. Learning systems and getting better and better as a person because of this car is truly humbling. Patience and persistence have really been the themes for this project, and who knows what it can grow into from here. None of this is easy, and if you're out there putting in the work and taking the time to do something like this, I applaud you. Here is a bouquet of flowers made from wrenches from a fellow enthusiast. Now let's top this TT off with one more modification. So we got most of this buttoned up. I got the intake manifold on, I left the injectors unplugged, and Brielle did an amazing job taping up the coil pack wiring. It looks phenomenal now, so much better than before. And now we're down to our final mod, which if you have end links that look like this, where the bushings are completely blown out like I do, then I think this is a reasonable kit for an upgrade for a short shifter, and that would be the Shop DAP kit. It's
I tried really hard to hold that back.
I was wondering what you were doing. I thought you were in pain. No, you're just holding back a sneeze.
Trying to, and it didn't work.
Anyway, this kit is beautiful, actually. It is really, really nice. Even got a little Shop DAP sticker, of course. But when I was watching the videos for this, I ultimately thought this was going to be a little bit heavier than what I have. But it's actually super light. I don't know what material they used, but it is like the lightest stuff. Oh God. It is super light, and I thought this was going to be way heavier than it actually is, so this is going to be an awesome upgrade for crispier shifts and, well, a bit more reliable setup compared to the OEM not so reliable setup. So we're going to install this on the car as our final mod before we get this car started. Now, this is super exciting to me because this car has not been running for about a year. And you're about to witness the first start once we're done here. I still have a few things to button up. I gotta add some fluids, but then we're on to the first start. I'm so nervous, but super excited at the same time because I have not been able to drive this car properly since I got it. And in fact, which is a little bit over a year, and it's been broken ever since I got it, all the way up until now. and I think we're finally at the point of a good startup. I have faith in this engine, but it's still an Audi, so I don't know. We're gonna see. Let's install this short shifter kit, and then we'll go for the first start. So the first step, this came in the kit, and it is the pin to align your shifter. The hole here and a hole down there. You just gotta push it in until it slides down a bit. There we go. And that is your shifter in line. It locks it in place, so that way it doesn't move, and that is what aligns your shifter. So we're starting there. Next step is on the outside of the car. Now this is ultimately one of my favorite parts of Volkswagen Audis, and I don't know why, but it's just so interesting to me to watch the gears shift through a big mechanical arm. Well, two big mechanical arms. And a bunch of bushings, a slider, and then two cables that run right into your car for the shifter. I just think this is such a cool part about Volkswagen and Audis. Just fascinates me. But anyway, onwards. We gotta take this bolt out right here. So the first step is gonna be to loosen this nut. There we go.
Don't take it off all the way.
Yeah, right about there. Okay, so now that this is loosened a little bit, we can go ahead and lock our transmission. Now this is gonna be a little bit different because down here there's this pin sticking out of your transmission. Every other transmission is kind of different, but you have to push this down while it's in neutral, might I add, so you gotta make sure it's in neutral, which this is in neutral. But you gotta push this down just ever so slightly to find where that pin locks, and it's right there. Pushed into the transmission to lock it, and now you cannot shift gears at all. And there we go. You can see how much slop I have in this bushing here. Okay, next you're gonna wanna take off the nut you loosened. This clip off here. Oh, so that's good. Then you should be able to just slide this out of here. That bushing is super trashed. And then you should also be able to pick this up and out. You're gonna kind of have to wobble it a bit because it's on splines, so it doesn't wanna. Oop, there we go. Ta-da! And this can also go to the scrapper. And then you could also take your little crap bushings from inside of here out, because kit comes with new ones. Next thing is going to be a little bit of assembly. This goes in there. Very pretty. God, it's so shiny. So shiny, so nice. It's going to make this TT pop in one particular area, and that's it. Just tighten that up. Go. Nothing crazy. What else we got here? Got these two new bushings, like I said. That will go inside. We also have this slider here, there. It goes on there, like yay. This is going to be the next step. Now this has a notch on the inside here. Line it up with the notch on your transmission. There's that notch right there. Well, that was quite satisfying. Put the nut on this loosely. Put my bushings where they belong. In there and in there. Now this goes through here. I'm going to say like yay, but I'm not going to get it through quite yet.
Looks like it's cockeyed. There's not a lot of room.
Yeah, maybe if I put this bushing on here first. There we go. That helped out a lot. There we go. There's that. You got your DAP slider there. Now we're almost there. There we go. That was nice and satisfying. Okay. Now the big hex bolts go through the ball end, but the rest of the hardware goes on the end links. Look at these beautiful things. My goodness. Works of art. This is where the cable goes. And this clamps the cable to the end link. It's beautiful. So on the back side, there are slots for the nuts to get captivated in there. So that is where you're going to want to start. And you're going to want to hold these in, flip it around, and then put your bolts in. Oops, I already screwed that pooch. And nice and loosely put these in. Don't want to tighten them down just yet because you need them over the cables. And now that your shifter's locked in place, you can take your cables, slide them in. You just want it to be good to bolt up right there. Go. Now Paul said you can install these either way. I'm going to go with this way, I think. I think that looks nice. I was like, huh, why is this not fitting? It's because I was supposed to put this slider on here and then on there. My bad. Sorry, guys. There we go. That's how that's supposed to go. And don't forget to put your pin back in. Whoopsie daisy. Well, I guess that's the car life. Sometimes you'd be making mistakes, but at least this one presented itself very quickly. Anyway, back to the install. There we go. That's much more aligned. Okay. So your last steps are going to be to tighten all of these little bolts down. Get them down tight. Tighten these two first, then these. Then, once you unlock the transmission and make sure you have all your gears, then you can tighten this down. Okay, next thing you're going to want to do is put the car in reverse and then torque this down to 18 foot-pounds or 25 Newton meters. Ta-da! Now this is the moment I have been waiting for. It's all back together, aside from the front clip. So it should, in theory, run like this for a little bit without coolant, and it should be okay. I won't run it for long, but I just want to see if it runs well-ish. I know the exhaust is going to leak, but it's got oil, it's got gearbox oil, all the vacuum lines are hooked up, airbox is on, battery's good, fully charged. Let's go for it, I guess. It runs. Aha. We might not make it.
So even after all of that hard work, hours upon hours upon hours, it still suffered with low compression on cylinder 4.